Alright, hello there, and welcome to another Starfield recap. So, we got a little bit of a different angle this time, just to kind of mix it up a little bit, you know? So we got a few things to talk about, some probably more controversial than others, but I wanted to bring attention to it. So yeah, so if you're new here, which you're probably not, I don't think anyone. I think we got one new Starfield player last week, according to the stats. No, I'm joking. Basically, this is where I talk about Starfield related stuff and stuff relating to my channel. So yeah, so I suppose one of the first things I want to kind of talk about is a kind of I suppose it's a minor thing. So some people like come to the channel and like for the guides and the reviews, which is completely understandable because like I think when I started doing the paid mod sort of stuff, like reviews, like is it worth it, my channel kind of blew up, skyrocketed. So it's understandable that people might have this opinion that I'm going to mention, but occasionally people will come to the channel and they'll be like, I spent 20 minutes watching this. But we passed him. We're not past him any yet. Apologies. I spent 20 minutes watching this goddamn it. That's probably still a swear word in America. This idiot running around like an idiot. 0 out of 10. Great mod. And I feel like if you're not new here, you probably understand. The kind of thing, like obviously I do a lot of content. My main kind of thing is obviously reviewing mods and stuff and talking about Starfield, but I try to add a bit of a flair to it because ultimately, while I'm trying to highlight specific stuff regarding mods in Starfield, I'm trying to kind of do it in a way that's unique to myself, so that you're more interested in watching it equally to see the content I'm reviewing, but also to kind of just see what I get up to. You know, I try to add some comedy to it, some sarcasm, some wit, stuff like that. So I do apologize if you come here expecting, like, you know, a very thorough, well kind of structured review of mods. That's sometimes I will do that. But generally speaking, I kind of like to operate on a principle of it's my first, like, you know, first run through with the mod, because I feel like it simulates what a normal person would be like. So, you know, like if, let's say for instance, if the mod isn't, if they don't explain how to start the mod or there's certain issues, in me kind of going in blind, I feel like it makes things a lot easier to kind of convey when mods are issues. Yeah. The other thing I will say, I kind of get a little bit, and I know this is kind of crimson airing out the dirty laundry in a bit. I get a few comments from people that say that I am a bit of an idiot. And I joke a lot about, you know, like, oh, slightly idiot. But, like, I think people don't realize, like, I actually play this game. And I have probably several thousand hours on this game. Like, I know I'd say I know the ins and outs of the game more than most people. I mean, I say most people. There's probably like, 20 of us that still play Starfield. Slight joke, obviously. But yeah, so, because I always find it interesting, because people like make remarks and stuff like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. And look, sometimes I don't, you know? Like, when it comes to talking about mods, you know, I admit I don't always know what I'm talking about. But like when it comes to Starfield itself and stuff, like generally I know what I'm talking about because I've been playing the game from launch. I play the game in my spare time. I play it on stream. You know, I'm pumping them numbers. But yeah, I just wanted to get those little things out of the way because, like, look, I realize that Starfield is a sort of game where I'm going to get some negative comments, and I am grateful of negative comments because thank you for helping feed the algorithm, pushing my videos. You know who you are. But I just find it kind of, it's always like, and I suppose it's probably a thing that you see with a lot of YouTube videos where, like, you get comments and, like, the comment, I'm just kind of like, I'm reading the comment, I'm like, did you not watch the video? Like, sometimes I'll get comments to be like, how did you get this mod? And I'm like, brother, the first 30 seconds of the video is me saying how to get the mod. What the actual baby Jesus? But yeah, So that little bit out of the way. I do like, obviously, I was saying that. I like to differentiate between hate comments and like non-hate comments. Like if somebody's being critical of something, like if I say something that's incorrect, obviously, yeah, fair enough. That's perfectly fine, because sometimes I will say things that isn't accurate because I don't know everything. You know, I'm not all knowing as much as I like to think I am. But I will say that I don't think I've ever really addressed this specifically, because I enjoy Starfield, and I mean, I enjoy playing the game, and I try to be fair with regards to mods and with regards to like just general content. I will be critical of Starfield, I will be critical of mods, I will be positive of mods, I'll be negative of mods, blah, 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 that sort of stuff. Generally speaking, again, with the comments and stuff, I operate a kind of a thing where you can kind of comment what you like and stuff, even if it's like negative, that's perfectly fine. And I leave comments. I rarely ever delete comments, but I will delete comments if they add or not. I will hide users if they add nothing to the conversation. Like if it's somebody just being an asshole for the sake of being an asshole, I will just kind of hide them. And some people might be like, Crimson, what's the point of that? And like, I try to foster, like, with my stream, obviously with my videos, some of my videos I can be overly critical of mods, and generally the whole kind of purpose behind them is because I'm trying to keep you guys, you users, I'm trying to keep you guys from spending your money on stuff that realistically doesn't deserve your money. And I'm also trying to use the platform I have to try and bring a more positive light onto Starfield, because I feel like Starfield gets shat on for, now there is legitimate reasons to disrespect or to dislike Starfield, but like regarding like, you know, like certain stuff, I think it's, you know, some stuff is kind of bullshit, you know, it's not legitimate. But yeah, so I'm always like I try to foster a community where everybody's very chill, everybody's very welcoming and all that sort of stuff. So like if somebody comes in and they're just an asshole for the sake of being an asshole, you're not going to last long in my community. I will more than likely just hide your comment and hide you from the channel, because we don't need that level of drama, you know? Like I said, I have nothing against if somebody wants to sit there and be like, you know, I personally think Starfield's crap because of this reason. Like if people want to give genuine responses and like have a conversation or a debate, perfectly fine, you know? But yeah, that little stuff out of the way, let's get into our first little bit of mod related drama. So I reviewed a mod last week that was a cyber hacker suite. It was a paid mod with 600 credits. Very, very expensive, to be completely honest with you. Now, when I did the review, like when I do any review, I don't do a whole lot of research behind the scenes, because I don't want to be influenced by stuff, you know? Like, I like to give every mod author the benefit of the doubt, even when they've done stuff that might have been questionable in the past. Like, you know, you've seen me cover mod authors that have consistently done very questionable content, and I will still go in somewhat positive, hoping that maybe they've learned that they're not fucking cash grabbing, but to my knowledge, it's always, yeah. But I after the video, I seen a lot of comments, and I did a little bit of research, and so the video in question, let me just get the exact name, hold the phone for a minute. It was the Cyberrunner Suite by, who was it by? Here's my description. Who is it by? I'm not going to mention who it's by, just because that makes it kind of easier, but you guys know the video. And I say easier because I don't want to necessarily bring hate to them directly, but I feel like it's a valid thing. But anyway, I did some research after people mentioning it, and it apparently, so that mod author had done 2 previous mods that were free, and they were kind of average, to be completely honest with you. Like, I'm just, yeah, they're very, very meh. And the Cyberrunner suite, they actually released it free on both. They released it free on PC first. Then they took it down and released on both PC and Xbox for free. And then they took it down again and released it as a paid mod, right? Now, to be completely honest with you, right? Bethesda's like, how Bethesda allow paid mods to operate, in that you can have a paid mod and then you can have a free mod and then make a paid achievement friendly version of said mod, right? And you can charge whatever you want for said mod, achievement friendly. Generally speaking, when you are using the whole achievement friendly version of a mod, it's 100 credits, the cheapest you can go. So, but this mod author is not inherently doing anything wrong by like removing it and kind of then making it paid, but morally, I suppose I know, Crimson, you're bringing morals into it, but I do think, I don't know, maybe morally is not the right word, but it does come across very scummy. Like, it's, if there's so many issues with it. So the first issue is it's very expensive. 600 credits for a mod that ultimately another mod has done and kind of better, which we'll talk about in a minute. Like, in its current form, I would say that's a 200 credit mod at best, and it kind of highlights this whole thing with Bethesda, because ultimately, whenever I talk about paid mods and stuff, actually, I have a tangent we want to go on in a minute regarding paid mods. Ultimately, with paid mods, it always comes down to Bethesda, right? Bethesda set the rules. It's their thing. As long as, you know, if you're putting out a paid mod, Bethesda has verified it. They've given the okay. Now, do I think that Bethesda should be the way they are? No. I think that they should be a lot more critical and a lot more controlling of paid mods. Like, I think it's absurd that you can basically become a verified creator and then the sky is the limits on your price point for paid mods. I think that Bethesda should implement a kind of, and we talked about this before, I know Mona, good friend of the channel, slightly crazy, Mona was came up with the idea of having a kind of a tier system where, like, when you start off with like kind of paid mods, you're limited to a certain price point of like the max you can sell a paid mod for is like 100 to 200 credits, and then, like, you know, as you gain more kind of, you know, more downloads and more stuff, you can kind of go up to tiers, which honestly I think that's how Bethesda should do it, because you would then not have, you would have a lot of less of these like the probe tech mods where guys like, I'm going to make, again, no disrespect to probe tech specifically, but their 700 Doom ship mod was honestly will probably go down in history as one of the worst paid mods out there in terms of bang for your buck. And yes, I know that the Mariner Hab is also up there too, but it would just prevent people from instantly going like the Hab itself, right, or the house mod, the Cyberrunner suite. Honestly, it's probably like 100 credit mod. Like, and the reason I'm saying 100 credit mod, because it's, if you're going to overhaul a specific, like if you're going to do house mods, I've covered house mods quite a lot on the channel, right? If you're going to add a house mod and you're going with a small little apartment like that one specifically, right? It's tiny. It's literally like honestly, like I've seen bigger sheds. And you know, like people, yeah, like it's just, it's very small, and like, yeah, like I think max 100, 200 credits at that price point, I think it would have been okay. Now, there's a couple of things though about it, like, that I want to kind of mention regarding. So, first and foremost, the mod author decided they were going to do the Cyberrunner suite. Now, look, there's no rules or regulations about what you can and can't do when it comes to like mod. Well, there is actually. You can't, you know, there is specific. But what I meant is, like, you can kind of make whatever mod you want. If you want to go make a house mod and someone already has made a house mod, you can still make a house mod. You know, like if you want to go and make a mod that allows you to make a, you know, like a fleet command mod, it's already, you can do that. Like, generally speaking, despite the verified creator program operating on a kind of a system where the mod author themselves or the creator is the sole proprietor of the intellectual property, meaning the mod, despite them being the kind of the sole owner of the mod and kind of Bethesda kind of keeping everything in check and stuff, there's no real limit on a mod author doing something similar. Like an example is, like I always say, like Ghost, Xenomaster, right? Ghost made Xenomaster, really awesome mod, right? He put probably thousands of hours into making that mod, and he's constantly still updating it, right? But there's nothing stopping someone else from making the exact same mod as him and selling it. And then realistically, so he recently put out the achievement-friendly version of his mod. I highly recommend it. But let's say he didn't put out an achievement-friendly mod, right? Achievement-friendly mods or paid mods that add achievements, they're highly sought after for various reasons. If somebody was to go and make an achievement-friendly version of Xenomaster, let's say they basically sloppily did similar stuff to what Ghost did, as long as they didn't steal the code, like let's say, you know, as long as it was all made by them, there's no rules against it, which I think is quite interesting, because I feel like Bethesda working with verified creators, there should be a level of kind of IP protection when it comes to paid mods. Like Kingath, for instance, you know, like him and his team made Watchtower, right? Well, what if somebody went and made a kind of a crappier version of Watchtower and charged double the price? You know, legally speaking, it seems like they're allowed to, as long as they don't steal stuff, you know? Like, and again, I'm only going off of what I know, because I don't know much about the Verified Creator Program aside from what's kind of common knowledge. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because the Cyberrunner suite, right? Somebody did a far better version of it. And it's on Nexus, and I believe it's on Creations, because that's the other thing. If it was only on, if you're making a paid mod or a mod in general, and the mod doesn't exist on Xbox, fair game. Xbox users are the majority, right? But this mod author went and made a house mod, and look, we have no way of knowing if they saw the original, like, kind of, you know, cyberpunk style house mod and decided to make their own. Because even if that was the case, legally speaking, you can do that, but morally it just seems wrong. Now, this is all speculation here. We don't know. But I would like to think, if you're a mod author, right, and you're trying to make a paid mod, right? In general, you would think that you as a paid mod author would be looking at areas like, okay, look, I want to make a paid mod. I have the talent, but I don't really have any specifics of what I want to do, but I want to make money. So I'm going to look at aspects of the game and certain things like, okay, I want to make a house mod. I can do house mods. Now, if you were anyway business savvy or not being a complete and total tool, you would look at houses that haven't really been modified, or like locations, like, you know, there hasn't been of. Like, for instance, there's very little, I don't think there's very little houses in Garagaran and Cydonia. I think there's very little houses in Paradiso. There's no, I don't think there's like any ranches on like Montera Luna, you know, like, but there is a lot of houses. There's a lot of reskins of the starter perk house, the Dream Home. There's a lot of Mercury Tower houses. So if you're trying to make a paid mod and you want to be business savvy, and also kind of don't want to step on toes, which you shouldn't want to, there's other avenues you could have went. Now, this mod author opted to make a one in Neon, which, again, nothing wrong with that. But it's like, it's just weird, because, like, again, you would like to think that being like paid, if you're a paid modder, you're going to be a different caliber than a free mod. Not to say that there's obviously modders out there that do free content that are definitely on some crazy stuff, but you just expect that whole, when you become a verified creator, your kind of your mindset would change a little bit, because when you're making normal free mods, right, it's a passion project, and ultimately a lot of times you're just making mods that you enjoy making, right? And if other people like them, that's cool. If they don't, that's, you know. But I feel like with paid mods, you're now in the kind of the realm of acting as a pseudo developer. And it's no longer about making stuff that you would like as much as it is making stuff that other players would enjoy. That's why I'm always like, you always see me kind of get a little bit antsy when people make like paid mods and like they're very specific, or you know, they don't cater, because obviously you can make a paid mods that cater to a small niche community. That's, you know, perfectly fine. But I just feel like you should be trying to maximize your reach, you know. And by that mod author basically doing that house in that location, that's been done quite often, and to be honest, there's been free versions that have been far better. It's just, yeah, it just brings about the ultimate kind of question of like, Bethesda, I know you're trying to operate more as the kind of just the server host so that you can kind of steer clear of the drama. Like if a paid mod is shit, it's the paid modder, or it's the modder's fault. It's not Bethesda's fault. But ultimately that's not how the cookie crumbles. The fault will still and always go back to you, Bethesda. And I would like to see, because I always like the way I look at it now, right? And is with Starfield being a smaller audience, you know, smaller player base. There's not a whole lot going on with paid mods in general. We maybe get like 3 to 4 a week if we're lucky. You know, most of them are pretty okay. You know, very few of them are egregious, but when they are egregious, they're egregious. What happens if with Elder Scrolls 6? With Elder Scrolls 6 comes out and it's like really good, you know? Let's say for whatever reason, because we would like to think that Bethesda, they know how to make their Elder Scrolls. Are we going to have a repeat of Starfield's questionable paid mods, but like on a far larger scale? Like I will say, I looked briefly at the Skyrim paid mods, and honestly, kind of see similar things, but just not as overly egregious so far. I haven't looked deeply. And it just, ultimately, it just feels like a situation where, like, Bethesda themselves should be involved more, you know? Like, they should control more of, like, what's allowed, what's not allowed, have a more hands-on approach, you know? Because Bethesda are making money from every one of them sales, you know? And that means that Watchtower, they've taken a profit, which is, like, cool because, you know, but they're also taking a profit of, like, the Ryujin Revolver that's been still fucking broken for months and months and months, to my knowledge. So it's just, yeah, it's like... Now, the other thing I want to talk about, the last thing I want to talk about regarding that mod author, specifically the Cyber. So, it's very clear that that mod author... isn't fully aware of how certain elements of the CK work, because they put credits, they spawn credits in the game, but the credits don't actually function like normal credits. Normal credits, when you click on them, it will add the credit amount to your character. These don't. These are just like miscellaneous items that don't actually add the currency. Which again, it's like, I'm gonna be honest with you, right? When it comes to Starfield and stuff, or any game, gold in Skyrim, or Elder Scrolls, credits in Starfield, caps in Fallout, that's kind of one of like the first things you would like kind of, you know, you would be aware of when you're doing any sort of a mod, because you're gonna, more than likely, you're gonna be dealing with like currency. The fact that the mod author isn't aware of how to place credits, which I would seem would be a very entry-level stuff, it's kind of like, hold on a second. Like, I feel like, and again, with the QA system, did Bethesda QA it? Because, like, I mean, we could argue that it's, oh, maybe it's just for, they're just there for cosmetic reasons. They're there aesthetically. Which, fair, apart from the fact that the mod author did actually try to make them worth something, because the various credit sticks actually have value added to them. Like, some of them, when it'll say they're worth 300, some of them will say 500. So like, the mod author was kind of, they were trying to do it, but they just kind of didn't do it right. And I kind of wish that Bethesda had caught on to that and be like, wait a minute, this guy that we're basically giving our blessing to make paid mods, they don't know how to place credits. And look, I'm not a modder, But again, wouldn't that be like one of the first things you would learn how to do? Like, if you don't know how to place credit sticks, should you really be making paid mods? You know? Like, it's... Excuse me, again, I have hay fever, I apologize. I took my tablets, but it takes a while for them to kick in. Because we'll talk briefly a little bit about there's another mod author that I've covered very briefly, and I try not to cover them too much because I don't really know much about their mods, but Young Neil, mod author, they've done some kind of mods where for the most part it seems like all they're doing is tweaking some lines of code and charging for it, like doing like allegedly, and I say allegedly because I don't know the ins and outs, but like it seems like they're allegedly doing 5 to 10 minutes of fiddling with scripts in CK, messing with variables, and then charging money for it. And again, it's frustrating because everything eventually blows back on Bethesda, right? The reason Starfield is in the position it is in, the fact that it's in this kind of limbo where we haven't gotten content in a year and we know there's content coming, but we're not sure what it is, it's purely because of Bethesda. How Bethesda, and I will be doing a video more entitled on this, Bethesda, the reason Starfield succeeds in certain areas and fails is ultimately down to Bethesda. And the whole paid mod fiasco, part of the failure of it ultimately comes down to Bethesda, like having no QA system. The QA seems to be non-existent. Like, for God's sake, I seem to be doing more QA for paid mods than Bethesda, and I'm doing it for fucking free. You know what I mean? Like, I have to fucking spend my not hard-earned money every week buying fucking credits to test mods, and it's like, I'm spotting, and I've said this before many times, I'm spotting things, right? I'm not even a modder, right? Like, I've had, like, mod authors hit me up after, and they've kind of given me more, like, information on, like, certain stuff, like, oh, Crimson, just so you know, this is how they did this is how they did that. And they'll be like, that seems quite amateurish the way they did that. Like, how, you know, how is Bethesda not spot this? And it's a valid, you know, it's a valid concern, because at the end of the day ends. No, I'm sorry. I don't know why I keep saying that. But, like, at the end of the day, Bethesda set the standard, and currently, what's the fucking standard? The standard was an expansion almost 9 months ago? 10 months ago? One update in 2025? Is there any wonder that paid mods are generally going to fucking shit when Bethesda themselves are, like, kind of half-arsing the game? Like, I will say it, like, I am a huge lover of Starfield, you know? Like, I enjoy the game, and even if I wasn't doing content, I'd be playing it. The shipbuilder alone is just crazy good. But as, like, a fan, it's kind of like, what's going on? Like, I haven't felt this way about a game since, like, I played Destiny, and at least Destiny got content. Yeah, sometimes the content was fucking dog shit, but, like, at least it got content. And look, we know we're gonna be getting content, but yeah, it's just like, is it any wonder there's questionable paid mods? You know, like, they're working on something, right? It's obvious. Would it kill you to hire a few more QA people to make sure that people who are giving you their hard-earned fucking money, that they're not going to get their system bricked, or they're not going to download, like, pay like over €5 for a very questionable mod? Also, I will say, if you are making a paid mod, and I'm going to be completely honest with you, boss man, boss woman, boss whatever, if you're making a paid mod and you're going to charge more than 500 credits, like over 500 credits, your mod better be fucking good. And the reason I say that is because the minimum credits you can buy I believe after 500 is 1,000, so a tenner. So, like, if I'm buying your shitty €6 fucking house mod where you can't even fucking spawn credits properly, I'm gonna have to spend €10 worth of my money to buy those credits. Yeah, I know I have 400 left over, but like that's I'm always very specific. And like even on the thing of like, I don't think we've had a mod over a tenner. My god, if I see a mod over €10 and it's not made by fucking Kingath or maybe a handful of other modders, I'd be fucking furious, to be honest with you. Like, there's the pricing system in general. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you, it's obviously it's a tricky one, right? But again, I don't think anybody should be allowed to charge. Like, there should be very few mod authors allowed to charge a tenner for a product. You know, I think and again, I don't think we have had anyone that has charged over a tenner. But even like over a $5, I feel like, just going off of the mod authors I have reviewed, I'd say there's probably a dozen mod authors, and I'm not going to say who they are, but they know who they are, who I could say, just off of the work and the talent of what they've done, deserve to charge more than a $5. And if you're the sort of person that just tweaks coding in game, or makes very questionable fucking house mods that don't function, or God forbid, just overcharges for mods that ultimately don't ever work properly, or you just steal other ideas and make them a paid mod, I've just fired shots there. You know who you are. I doubt you watch my content, because if you did, you guys might, and I say you, there's a few people, if you guys did watch my content, you might learn something. Like, don't charge fucking 800 fucking credits for a mod. But yeah, rant aside, ultimately, Bethesda's to blame. And I'm not saying that in a, they are the ones that control things. If we had a comment system and a rating system and a surefire refund system, at the very least, right, if we had a comment system and a rating system, I could kind of somewhat understand, because they're giving it to the player to determine, like with Amazon, for instance, right? Where Amazon just hosts it. Yeah, Amazon's gone shit these days, actually, to be fair. But you know what I mean? Like, it's just a site, and then it's up to the users to basically determine whether or not something's worth. And currently, that's what channels like mine and like Reddit threads like mine are about. We're kind of trying to highlight, what's good about a mod, what's bad about it, is it worth it? Until we get those features, and I don't think we will ever get those features, to be honest with you. But until we get those features, it's Bethesda's fault. And Bethesda can either give us those features and then kind of still stay on riding that whole thing of we're just hosting the mods, and it's up to you guys whether you like them or not, right? That's fine. But if they don't add those features, then at the very least they need to have more control over what the fuck's going on, because it's a fucking shit show, boss, to be honest with you. It's a shit show, Like, it's just, yeah. I think that's it regarding, I will say, I've got two little updates that I will talk about. I have some new videos coming that a few people have probably asked for. Now, I won't say what they are, but they should be out somewhat soon, hopefully. I'll be kind of testing the water with them, because, see, here's the thing, is I realize that my community mainly watches me for Starfield, which is understandable. But I feel like, I like branching out and doing other stuff, but I feel like the format of some of my videos could easily be translated to other videos, which that's kind of thing. I won't say too much on that. Now, the other thing I will say, and I'm only going to talk a little bit about it, because I'll talk more about it next week. What date is today, actually? So, some of you guys are going to love this. Some of you guys are going to probably not give a fuck. But I will be doing I will be attempting a 24-hour charity live stream next, the 24th. So basically, it'll be, this video will go out Tuesday. It will be Thursday week, the 24th. And I am doing that for the Samaritans, which is a charity in Ireland. I will talk more about it next week. But it's basically a kind of a charity that focuses around a kind of a helpline for people that are feeling suicidal or alone or any sort of, like, you know, emotional stuff. They're a very, very needed charity, and I'll go more into depth with next week, my thingy. But yeah, so I will be doing a 24-hour live stream. I will have a donation set up directly to them. Hopefully you guys will donate. I will say it's going to be a little daunting, doing 24-hour live stream. Hopefully I can make it. We'll be playing a few games. I know I'll be doing Starfield. I also have Halo installed. My PC might play the finals, might play Doom. It's just going to be trying to break it up because the gaming itself isn't necessarily what worries me per se. It's just kind of trying to be entertaining to you guys for the 24 hours. But yeah, so look forward to that. There will be more information on it next week. I'll talk a little bit more about it. I might have it its own little video. But yeah, hopefully you guys will join me on that, and hopefully you guys will donate. It's for a good cause. None of the money goes to me. I will have, don't worry, I'm not going to run off the money. It'll be like a link directly to their page, and I'll have it set up in the stream. I'll have to try and figure out a way so that people donating know not to donate through the YouTube method, instead go onto the website. We'll figure something out anyway. But yeah, so that's pretty much it, guys, for the recap. Let me know what you guys think, if you have any questions to ask. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. As always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and catch you in the next one. Bye bye.